What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Dapper podcast. This is not episode 3 yet. We're actually here with some breaking news. Let's get it, Mark.
So, MagicEden announced about 20 hours ago at the time of this recording that they're making creator royalties optional. So the buyer will have the choice of whether or not they want to pay royalties to the NFT collection owners. Soorya, you want to read the first tweet off?
Yep. So MagicEden tweeted out approximately 12 hours before this video was recorded. After some difficult reflection and discussions with many creators, we've decided to move to optional royalties on MagicEden. Effective later today, we will also be running a promotion to waive our platform fees. Mark, you want to get the second tweet?
Yeah, for sure. And then they go on to say, in addition, we will launch a creator monetization hackathon to develop pre-royalty and alternative creator monetization tools. And then they go on to list their judges and say that they're putting up $1 million in prize money. Take the third?
Yes. So after that, they tweet out, "This is not a decision we take lightly. We understand this move has serious implications for the entire ecosystem. We also hope it's not a permanent decision. Today, royalties are not enforceable on-chain. We'll talk more about that later." They continue, "We welcome and hope to see new standards to protect royalties." Yep. Mark, you want to get the fourth and final tweet?
4. The market has been shifting towards optional creator royalties for a while. These charts show the cumulative wallets that have used optional royalty marketplaces to buy or sell NFTs. They then display charts which will be right up in front of you showing the transition that the market has made to these optional royalties.
So this is actually a very, very heavy topic, and we'll actually dissect it tweet by tweet. So let's just start off with the first tweet, how they announce we're making creator royalties optional. Let's just go with their initial reactions to that. Honestly, for me, I find that shocking because if you give someone, and all of these people, most of these people consider themselves investors, and if you give the investor an option to make 10% more, they're gonna take that any day of the week. So it's really, from just first, the first thought that comes to mind, it's going to be really hard for collections to make their holders want to give them that 10%. What do you think, Mark? What's your first thoughts?
I say I would completely agree because I can't say I know anyone that would think, okay, unless they have other incentives, I don't think anyone would choose to pay a tax. Like, I'm going to pay a tax just to be nice to these creators who probably have 100 times more money than I will ever have. I don't see that happening unless creators can find a way to base benefits only on whether or not they pay the tax, which I know they mentioned something about.
I also, a second thought once you mention that comes to mind is a lot of times people's decision to pay the royalty or not might depend on what the project offers them. But then that's like a double-edged sword because the project needs money to offer them something. So it's like how will the project get money to offer them something in order to collect the royalties again? So it's honestly like in a well-functioning ecosystem, this is probably, it'll work, but once you're in choppy waters, it'll be really hard for a project to stay afloat again, because for most projects, they rely on this income.
I completely agree. This means that projects will need to find a new method of recurring income. Like, I've heard about some like selling coffee and other like consumables like that, but now it's sort of like the only option. Other than you can mint and just hold your bags and hope that you don't run out of money. But other than that, the primary source of recurring income for NFT projects is now gone on Solana.
Speaking of this is a perfect transition into the next tweet where MagicEden talks about they created a $1 million bounty / hackathon where anyone who can think of an idea or any project that can think of an idea for alternative revenue methods other than royalties, they have this option to participate in this hackathon and earn up to $1 million. So let's talk about that for a bit. What do you think about that?
I think it's a good step for them to take. When I heard about this decision that they made before I heard anything about the hackathon, I was like, this seems out of nowhere. It seems like they didn't consider it that strongly, and it seems like they don't care about what the creators think for incentives. But this shows me that they actually want the creators to get behind this as well, and they're not just sort of leaving them out in the woods. You know, like leaving them out to dry, we'll see what your holders think of you. But now it's like, if you come into our idea, if you embrace this, you can make money just off of our hackathon, which I think is really cool, especially putting up a $1 million prize pool. They're not messing around.
They're definitely not messing around. And that takes us into kind of the next tweet too, where they say, this is not a decision we take lightly, and how one of the main reasons they decided to do this was because of an on-chain issue. So the Solana blockchain doesn't enforce creator royalties. So MagicEden is not the first 0% creator royalty marketplace. There's actually 2 to 3 that were competing with MagicEden, and they were, over the past few months, they have charts of this that will pop up on the screen now. Over the past few months, actually, these other companies that offered 0% creator royalties started stealing the market share of MagicEden. So MagicEden doesn't want to lose its #1 spot as the #1 marketplace of Solana. So that's why they decided to jump the gun and pull the trigger on 0% creator royalties, or making creator royalties optional. So understanding this, and this is a very important tweet, understanding this, I kind of start to get why MagicEden went along this path. Because from a business perspective, it's either you beat them or you join them, right? And they clearly can't beat them because investors want more money. So that's why they decided to join them. What do you think, Mark?
I think if you look at the charts, you can see that the amount of people that were using these royalty-free platforms in like early August was barely any. But by the time we got to late September, a sizable portion of the people were actually doing this. And I think that the DGOD's decision we were talking about last week had a strong bearing on this, because the #1 Solana project decided that they would embrace this change. It almost forced MagicEden to follow suit, or it strongly encouraged them, because if the #1 is doing this, it's likely a trend to follow.
Also, the thing is, word of mouth spreads so fast, especially on the Solana blockchain, that if MagicEden didn't pursue this, they would definitely like be beat out as the #1 marketplace.
They would fall behind. So I think this was actually essential to their survival. I mean, I know a ton of people on Twitter are extremely mad at them, because it was like a few months ago that they were like, someone asked them like, please don't mess with creator royalties, and then they were like, we know it's up to the creators to set their own royalties, and now they come out and we're like, hey, guess what, optional royalties. So I know a lot of people are a little concerned about that.
That just goes to show that nothing in this ecosystem is a guarantee. Honestly, if MagicEden can go and change their words 2 months later, anybody can. So definitely, no matter how much DYOR you do, you also have to understand that crypto is a risky asset and it's highly volatile.
Yep, they can basically change anything whenever they want, but I think the way that they did implement it is kind of cool. Because did you see how you can set your default royalties for your wallet? You can set it for the collection, and you can just select it like individually. So you can decide to give no royalties, half royalties, or full royalties, but the default setting is giving full creator royalties.
And the cool part is too, collections can know which NFT paid royalties or not and distinguish between those. So collections can decide only NFTs that paid royalties can go into staking vaults. So collections can decide stuff like that, and they can basically tier their benefits according to how much royalties someone pays. So this makes new opportunities possible as well, but it also shuts down some doors that were open for the past 6 months, because that's how most of these projects made their money.
So what this does make me wonder is, with this change, what will projects do to reward people for actually choosing to pay these royalties? Or what will they take away if you choose not to pay the royalties? I think this fully depends on what the projects think and how the developers can integrate these punishments or benefits into their ecosystem.
I think something straight off the bat that comes to mind is staking, right? Allowing people to stake or not. But of course, that's not what's going to win the MagicEden Hackathon. But it'll be really interesting to see what actually wins the MagicEden Hackathon as the next meta of how NFTs make revenue. So I think that'll be really interesting. I think whoever cracks the code is definitely going to come out looking like a Chad from these hectic times.
Giga Chad indeed. But one of the things another interesting thing that they did say is, even these optional royalties, they hope that it isn't a permanent solution. They actually just took this step because Solana, at its base level, cannot enforce the creator royalties at all. So if they didn't follow this step, then they would have been overtaken.
So this makes me wonder, do you think a lot of collections will move to Ethereum, where you can enforce creator royalties?
I think a sizable amount of them will, unless there's more news from MagicEden in the very near future, which I don't think they're going to change this anytime soon. So I would say some projects that are fully dependent on this royalty will move, because I can't see very many people supporting creator royalties just because, unless there's a very strong incentive by the project to pay these royalties.
I also see people on Twitter giving MagicEden lots of hate, where people are not reading between the lines how MagicEden basically had no other choice than to do this. Because it's honestly, like Mark said, it's a problem at the base blockchain level, at the protocol level. The protocol doesn't enforce creator royalties. So honestly, I've been a Sol Maxi for many months now, almost a year, but now I'm starting to see all the problems with Solana. Over 12 downtimes in 1 year, one of those downtimes exceeding 16 hours. Now creator royalties is 0%. There's problems piling up. So honestly, now I'm looking to Solana and their huge VC-backed fund to start taking action, because I feel like at the protocol level, it's time for an update.
Yeah, I would say that this change in royalties is Solana's fault, not MagicEden's. And just like you, I'm wondering what's Solana going to do about this? Because I know a lot of people hear this news and think like, oh, this is a great thing, I never pay tax again. But think, what's it actually going to do to the projects that solely rely on this tax for recurring income? What benefits can they keep offering holders if everyone says, no, I don't think I'll give you any royalties today?
Also, I think the biggest implication this has on the market is right now, I would say about 50% of projects already shut down, but there was about like 30-40% of projects that are still sticking by because they had some funds in their war chest and they were planning a comeback, right? But all these projects that were planning a comeback literally have no incentive now to pump the price of their NFT because they have no benefit to come back from it, right? So they might as well go out and build something brand new instead of pumping their existing collection and rewarding their holders. So there's both good and bad stuff to come out of this, but there's a lot of bad as well, which we haven't discussed too much about. Do you want to discuss something, Mark?
Yeah. I was just going to say, one of the big bad things is I think this is actually going to cause an insurgence of new collections, even if it's by the same project. Because they no longer have the incentive to provide rewards for the people that already bought the NFT in a previously existing collection, because that's not how they make money anymore. They're much more strongly benefited by just deciding to make a completely new collection, just start something new and scrap what they have already. And one final thing I'd like to mention for today is, for this to actually be a positive change, people need to start viewing these creator royalties as paying a royalty to get their set NFT benefits. So for this to happen, the winners of the hackathon will need to create an extremely strong incentive for anyone to ever want to pay royalties, or else no one will. So they need to make it so it's essentially impossible to get the benefits without paying the royalties.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this flash news briefing. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. And if you guys haven't been watching the Dapper podcast, the Dapper podcast is the best way to catch up on all news, crypto, Web3, and NFTs. So definitely check out episode 2 to know what went on this week in crypto. See you guys next time.